Dick Clark looked like America's sweetheart, clean-cut and wholesome. The perfect host everyone trusted. But in 1960, during a private meeting with record executives, he said something so shocking that several co-stars walked out and never returned to American Bandstand. The statement was caught on tape and buried for decades, and it revealed exactly who Clark believed belonged on his show and who didn't. This wasn't about music at all. This was about control. That one moment destroyed friendships and ended careers, and it changed the way people looked at the smile he wore on camera. Clark was born on November 30th, 1929, in Bronxville, New York, and grew up in Mount Vernon, where his father worked in radio and his mother took care of the home. He was obsessed with sound from childhood, and at age 10 he built a tiny basement studio, using an old stove as a microphone and his father's discarded scripts as cue cards. But the calm childhood ended when Clark was 15 and his older brother Bradley, a P-47 Thunderbolt pilot, was killed in the Battle of the Bulge. Neighbors delivered the news with condolences before any official notice, and that loss hardened something in him and pushed him toward success with a sense of duty. He became the only surviving son and carried that weight into high school, where he found confidence on the debate team and learned how to sound calm even when shaking. By the time he graduated in 1947, he was already working in the mailroom of Run in Utica, learning every voice, every cue, and every envelope until he finally filled in for the weatherman. Reading live with trembling hands but steady delivery, Bradley's death changed the way he saw time, and he feared wasting a single day, so he worked weekends, stayed late, and took every shift he could. Even though his father managed the station and his uncle owned it, Clark refused to lean on favors, and in 1950 he started calling himself Dick Clay on air to avoid being confused with his father. He went to Syracuse University in 1947 studying advertising with a radio minor, and to pay tuition he worked at WOLF for $1 an hour, spinning country music and reading news before finally hosting his own show, The Wolf Buckaroos, in 1951. At the same time, he ran sock hops for 50 cents a head and learned how to read a crowd and control energy with nothing but a turntable and a microphone. After college, he returned to WKTV hosting a quirky country, a show called Cactus Dick and the Santa Fe Riders, where he performed skits and weather forecasts for $75 a week before joining WFIL Radio in Philadelphia in 1952, earning $35 a week and living cheaply while pushing harder than ever. By 1954, he was the substitute host of the radio version of Bandstand, and when Bob Horn was arrested in a scandal, Clark stepped into the TV role at age 26. He brought a steady voice, a polished image, and strict rules that forced boys into suits and girls into dresses. It made the show look clean for sponsors, but it quietly pushed out teens who could not afford the right clothes. Behind the scenes, the darker system continued as Clark inherited Bob Horn's pay-for-play culture known as payola, where gifts and perks influenced airplay until the FCC and Congress came after him in 1959. He admitted receiving gifts, but denied taking cash, and survived by selling his music interests before the hearing. His public image dipped, but not enough to end him, and Bandstand grew even bigger as Clark shaped dance trends, fashion, and teenage culture, while launching stars like Chubby Checker, whose performance of The Twist in 1960 changed music history after Clark asked him to tone down his moves to keep things family-friendly. Clark built multiple shows, including The Dick Clark Show, and signed business deals that earned him royalties from performers like Fabian Fort, who received a small allowance, while Clark earned millions. But underneath the polished image black, artists and black teens were often kept at a distance, and producers enforced quiet rules that kept the studio audience nearly all white until 1964, with many black teens turned away at the door and performers like Chuck Berry placed on the edges of the stage or given less camera time. Clark defended himself publicly, but internal memos and dancer testimonies showed a different picture. By the late 1950s, his ownership stakes in music companies triggered more scrutiny, and in 1960, he faced Congress for 8 hours explaining how he profited from labels whose records he played on air, and even though he avoided criminal charges, his producer Tony Mamarella resigned under pressure after receiving thousands in gifts, and ABC temporarily suspended Bandstand before returning with Clark stripped of all music-related financial ties. He kept building new shows throughout the 1960s and expanded into station ownership, which triggered FCC investigations about monopolies, and he created the American Music Awards in 1974, which was accused of being influenced by network politics. Clark tried acting, but the films failed, and his stage projects were accused of rewriting rock history by downplaying black roots. In 1972, he changed New Year's Eve forever with the first New Year's Rockin' Eve live from Times Square, pulling in 25 million viewers and creating a tradition that would outlive him. Unpredictable moments, like the 1975 nude protester incident and the 1981 balloon drop collapse, only made the show more iconic, as Clark handled chaos with charm. The show became a goldmine, pulling in almost $50 million a year by the 1990s, and Clark built an empire of televised events, games, and specials. As the year 2000 approached, he worked the Millennium broadcast despite hints of declining health, and he later revealed he had lived with diabetes since 1994, dealing with lifelong complications until his massive stroke in December 2004 left him partially paralyzed and temporarily unable to host. But he returned in 2005, speaking slowly but refusing to disappear, and he co-hosted with Ryan Seacrest until 2011. While managing Dick Clark Productions, which delivered more than 7,000 hours of television, though, lawsuits from dancers, stagehands, and former employees. SEC-USE, the company of unpaid residuals and unfair contracts. After his death on April 18, 2012, at age 82 from a heart attack, his estate was valued near $100 million, and Dick Clark Productions sold for up to $385 million, but the sale reopened questions about legacy, payola, racial exclusion, and business practices that benefited some while limiting others. Clark built a career on a smile that felt warm and eternal, and his countdown made people feel at home, but behind the glow were hard deals, strict control, and decisions that shaped American music in ways most viewers never saw. And every December, as the ball dropped, his voice echoed across the country, steady, warm, and ageless, hiding a story far more complicated than anyone imagined. To stay with us for more untold Hollywood stories, make sure you subscribe to Hollywood Bulletin and press the bell icon so you never miss an update.